This is Billy Burgess with the IBM Cloud team. Today I'm going to be making a video talking about identity access management and how it integrates with our IBM Cloud Object Storage offering. First, let's look at the documentation on that. Let's go to an instance of IBM Cloud Object Storage. Go to your dashboard by clicking the IBM Cloud logo. Click on Storage here. I will have two instances. We'll click into this first one. Once you are into an instance of IBM Cloud Object Storage, this will be your landing page. It will show you the buckets here. We'll have this menu on the left. We'll start with this Getting Started menu, and then the third option is going to be Access Management. So click into here, and it has some walkthroughs of how you manage IAM with Cloud Object Storage. There's a few different ways to go about it. Each one gives you a different level of control. Let's first look at inviting a user, a specific user. The other way is going to be creating a service ID with a particular access capability. So the difference here is a user obviously is a particular person that has an IBM Cloud account. You invite them via their email. The second one, the service ID, you can create a service ID and this can be shared with anyone, and as they log in with the credentials, these credentials are going to be tied to a service ID, which you can limit to a given access pattern. So let's look at inviting a user first. So we'll click Invite Users. Another way to go, you can go from that link, you can also go up to this Manage tab in the top and go into IAM, and then click into Users on the left. So let's say Greg here, I'm going to invite him. And we are going to go to Access Policies, Assign Access, and we are going to go to Assign Access to Resources. Going to click on our service. We're going to go to Cloud Object Storage. Service instance, you can give access to all instances. You can give access to specific instances. So this is the one I clicked into. Let's give him access to that. You can also look at resource IDs if you want to do it that way instead of service instance name. Here, you'll select his access role. I'm going to make him, let's say, a writer for this service. We'll assign him there. And he now has access to that entire service. Let's go back into this service here and show how you could do this within your IBM Cloud Object Storage instance. You can get even more granular. So now Greg has access to this entire instance as well as all the buckets in there. Now, what if we want a situation where we have, for our enterprise, this is our entire Cloud Object Storage instance, covers everything in the enterprise. We can have multiple buckets in this instance. Each bucket can be for a different division or a different use case you're using object storage for. Let's say Greg is on our backup DR team. We only want Greg to have access to the bucket that stores our backups, not necessarily a bucket that may be tied to something like artificial intelligence testing or something else that you may want to use object storage for. So you can click into a given bucket. We'll go into bucket 1. And you can actually assign access this way as well. You will go into policies on the left here, and this policy will be will give you access to this given bucket by user. So I can select Greg and create writer just the same way I did in the Manage tab, but instead of for the entire instance, it's just for this bucket. So that's how you would create access policy that way. Now let's go back and go to this Cloud Object Storage test instance. Now instead of, let's say you have about 100 developers, 100 people in your agency that need to access the same Cloud Object Storage instance. You wouldn't want to have to do that manually. You wouldn't want to have to invite them all one by email. So in this case, you're going to want to create a service credential is the easiest way to do this. I have one created here, but we'll create a new credential. Now a service credential, you can give it whatever name you want. Service credential video test, we'll call it. You can give it writer, reader, manager, content reader. Now keep in mind these different roles are relatively self-explanatory. If you want anyone else to be able to manage these access roles, they need to be a manager as well. A reader or a writer cannot grant or ungrant, there's probably a better word for that, ungrant access to other users. So you may want other managers as well besides yourself. So we'll give him access as a writer. Select the service ID so you can tie it to other service credentials as well. But we'll leave that blank for now. Include an HMAC credential. These are not required, but I find depending on the integration, they may want to access via secret key. If so, this is going to be the way you do that. I don't really see a downside to adding it in there. It just adds another option for how you can access the Cloud Object Storage credential. So we'll add that there. It will take just a second to create. And once I create it, I can click into here and you can see the credential, and then you can pass these credentials. You can copy it using this bullet to the left, and you can pass this along to whomever, an entire organization, and grant access at once that way. Now, there is a last option that we'll talk about, which is going to be a more granular way to provide access via service credential, just like the instance where we invited Greg by his email, but then realize, hey, maybe we don't want him to have access to the whole instance. We want him to have access to only a specific bucket. You can also do that this way. Click into whatever bucket you want. We'll go to bucket 3. And we'll click into policies on the left again. Now, instead of inviting him as a user to this particular bucket, you can invite him via service ID. So you can select this pre-created service credential. So we got a video test here, or you can create a new one. And then give him access to just this bucket as a writer, and then create access policy there. So hopefully this helps, shows you a little bit about how granular you can get. You can get down to the bucket level of access. You can create different policies for different individuals or different groups that you provide the service ID to as well. Again, all this information, the walkthrough, is going to be available under Get Started Access Management tab. Thank you very much.